Hi everyone, as a part of our continuing Meet the Scientist video series, I wanted to introduce you to Professor Pam Sullivan from Oregon State University. Pam's a co-PI with Professor Lee from Penn State University on a DOE University project based here in beautiful Coal Creek. We're actually on a hill slope here within the Coal Creek drainage. We've got two graduate students here as well. We'll introduce them in just a minute. So Pam, tell us a little bit about your project with Lee, and then we can talk specifically about what we're looking at here.
So the project with Lee is to understand some of the both climate and kind of vegetation interactions in terms of controlling both water storage within the catchment as well as the chemistry and how it defines the chemistry of Coal Creek itself. So for instance, some of the things we're interested in is how things like dissolved organic carbon get produced on the landscape and are then transported into the stream. So we're starting in different kinds of landscape units you can think of so that we can actually begin to monitor them in the subsurface because we've been more limited to superficial chemistry data, especially stream water chemistry. So what we're doing now is we're actually putting in these sensor arrays that we have here. They go down to depth 1.2 meters into the ground. We have 3 different depths that we're monitoring. We're looking at soil moisture, matrix potential, oxygen, and CO2. And the reason we're looking at these kinds of properties or these metrics within the soil is not only to understand a bit about the water flow through that soil, but to really understand both the chemical weathering and some of the microbial processes and root respiration processes and how they have an influence on the geochemical fluxes that come specifically from this system. One of our really large goals as we move out from here is to think about, can we think of something that's more universal in terms of reaction rates at a watershed scale? So Coal Creek is one of these places where we're beginning to understand and think about how might we think at a larger scale as opposed to these small scale lab experiments that we do that don't tend to apply to the field. Can we use watersheds to help us come up with what's called a watershed reactive rate? So that's what we're doing here.
Excellent. And so you talked a little bit about these archetypal units within a watershed like Coal Creek. Just want to give folks kind of a sense of this particular archetypal unit. It's an aspen-dominated hill slope. Again, kind of classic Colorado type scenery here. But importantly, this is actually built up on a sandstone bedrock type. As we were digging this pit, Pam and I really noticed that, we're really looking at what appears to be more of a kind of a colluvial dominated system, large blocks of sandstone. Sorry, it's not great light here, but you can sort of get a sense for some of the materials that were brought up. And so this unit here really is definitive of other hill slopes that are similarly dominated by aspens built up on sandstone. There's another pit that we won't look at today that's associated with an evergreen or conifer forest similarly built up on primarily sandstone. So let's quickly introduce you to the 2 graduate students that are involved. That is Devon Kerins on the left. She's a graduate student with Lee at Penn State, and Keira Johnson on the right, a student of Pam's from Oregon State. Devon, why don't you tell us what you're really interested in working on here in Coal Creek?
I work under Dr. Lee, and we work on reactive transport modeling. So I'm interested in understanding how the decreasing snow fractions in Coal Creek associated with rapid warming are partitioning in the subsurface in the shallow and deep subsurface, and then how in turn those hydrologic flows are affecting biogeochemical reactions and chemical weathering, and hopefully tie it together with the transit time and identifying the young water fractions, and tie that together with Pam and Keira's work, and then help to develop this watershed scale reaction rate law.
Perfect, fantastic. Keira, tell us what you're interested in working on.
I'm more interested in groundwater flow, age distribution, and especially how the snowpack, changes in snowpack and climate here are impacting groundwater flows, and in turn what's showing up in our stream water.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone. Really appreciate the time. Appreciate the hard work that went into digging this pit. It's a glorious day out here. Thank you.